I think it was actually Boston versus the Knicks before Christmas Day game where Melo got ejected because the referee hates him. What's going on, guys? It's Steve. The NBA really needs to, adjust and adapt to modernize their officiating because it's really bad. It's truly bad. Now, it's bad for almost every team. Let's be real for a second. For the most part, if your team isn't dominant, or even if you do have superstars, like for example, the New York Knicks and a whole bunch of other teams in our position get terrible calls all the time, every single game. It's ridiculous. Honestly, it's ridiculous all the time. Whether it's against Carmelo because a ref hates him or it's just a biased call in general, there are a lot of terrible calls. And a prime example of this, of terrible calls happening, are the Golden State versus Cavs game. Even the Boston Celtics versus the New York Knicks game on Christmas, those two games, the officiating was terrible. And it's happening so much this regular season that people are finally starting to talk about it. What's wrong with the officiating? To me, the officiating, it's kind of stuck in the past. Like, think about how much technology the NBA has that they can get their hands on. With all this technology available, we're still relying on human, and human error pretty much to, officiate games, which is all right for them to officiate, important. I mean, it's all right for them to officiate, but what I'm trying to say is, like, if a team is on a run or if it's like a game-changing call, there needs to be allowance to review it, whether it's within the final 2 minutes or whether it's in the third quarter. And let's give this an example. The Utah Jazz are down by 10, and they're down by 10 against the Houston Rockets. Gordon Hayward hits a three, he gets a steal, and he hits another three, and then let's say he steals the ball again, but they call a foul, right? They should be able to review that. And everyone's saying, "Oh, it's a BS call. It's a BS call. It's not a foul." They look at the replay. It's not a foul. They should be able to overchange that call because that's actually going to impact the game. Think about it. If Utah goes on that run and Gordon Hayward hits another three, or he hits a layup, or someone gets free throws, whatever, they're gonna pull closer. There's a whole bunch of other factors instead of just the final 2 minutes. What about the final fourth quarter in general? Just think about two teams playing a tightly contested game. Let's say Utah versus Houston, yet again, another example. A tightly contested game, fourth quarter time. Let's say it's 78 to 78 to start the fourth quarter. Literally, they're going back and forth every possession. Utah scores, Houston scores. Houston scores, Utah scores. And let's say there's a really, really bad call. They should be able to review it no matter if it's 10 minutes left or even if it's like 5 minutes, 6 minutes. They should be able to review it because those type of plays really do impact the game. One bad call. Here's another example that I remember specifically. The New York Knicks versus the Boston Celtics. I don't remember exactly what call it was. There's a bad call. Timeout happened, whatever. Marcus Smart hits a clutch three. You see, you're giving opportunity to teams that didn't deserve it because of a bad call. Or let's look at, and they apologize for Richard Jefferson stepping on Kevin Durant. It was clearly a foul, and they say, oh, yeah, it was a foul, and LeBron should have got a technical foul for hanging on the rim. What good is that going to do 2 days later? You already lost credibility. It's not going to help you credibility by admitting you're wrong because everyone already knew you were wrong. Everyone knew that was a foul. So things like that, even if, like for that prime example, they should be able to review that because that's not fair. That's not fair. And I know people are going to say tough luck, that's just the way it is, but that's not fair. What should happen in that situation? In that situation, they should put the exact same time on the clock, give both teams 30 to 60 seconds. Let's give both teams a full timeout. Not both each one timeout. I mean, call an official timeout. Give both teams 60 seconds to draw up a play. Cavaliers a defensive play, Golden State an offensive play, and allow them to do it again. That is fair. That is fair. It is unfair to say, you know what, we messed up. Sorry, you're gonna have to take the loss. That's messed up. You can't sit there and say that. Like, just think about how wrong that is. To take away an opportunity. Who knows? And Kevin Durant did come out and said, you know what? If I didn't get fouled, or if they would have called that, I would have hit the game-winning shot. And who knows? Maybe he would have. Kevin Durant has had numerous game-winning shots, over 10 in his career so far. So, I mean, the officiating, they need to use technology more often I know they're starting to use it with having the technology center or the officiating official center, whatever the hell they call it, that they review and they're watching all games at the same time. So if they don't know a play on the court and they could just call it in and get it reviewed before, so it doesn't slow down the process for the fans. I understand that they want the game to remain sped up, but at the same time, the game has to be fair. I would prefer a fair game that's a little slower than a faster game that's bullshit. That's what I would prefer over, let's say the Golden State versus Cavs, with Kevin Durant getting fouled. I would prefer them re-allowing that play to happen again. Official 60-second timeout. Both teams can draw up another play. Now, here's another opportunity. And if there's another foul, we're going to call another foul. And let's say you get free throws. I don't know if they were in the penalty or not, but because under the 2 minutes, there's only two fouls. So I don't know if the Cavaliers were in the penalty or not. I don't remember. But at the same time, if they get fouled, they get the ball at the on the sideline, or Kevin Durant goes to the free throw line. You see, that's fair. It has to be fair. I would go with fairness over trying to keep the game sped up. Because to be honest, think about how much more fans would be tuning in. Because to be honest, sometimes it's hard to watch games because the officiating is so awful. For example, there was another game. I think it was actually Boston versus the Knicks before Christmas Day game where Melo got ejected because the referee hates him. And if you go back and look at all of the games that he refereed against Melo, he had so many biased calls against him. And it happens all the time to the Knicks. It happens all the time to the Nets. I know it also happens to the Pacers. From what I'm hearing and reading and understanding, it happens to a lot of teams. So there has to be a revamp of the officiating system because it's terrible right now. They're relying too much on the human eye because let's be real for a second. We all think we can keep up with the fast pace of the game because we're watching it on TV, but imagine watching it or being live at the game, running up and down, because at the same time, you're not just sitting down watching it like we are on TV. These referees are running up and down. They're talking to people. They're talking to to the players. They have earpieces in their ears. There's a lot going on. There's the fans, the crowd. There's a whole bunch of stuff going on. A whole lot of stuff for them to continue to focus on the game. It's extremely hard. So there has to be a way. Each arena must have a technology center where referees, they're gonna have to hire more people. So what? Where referees are sitting down, rewatching highlights and rewatching plays. So if the referees do stop the game, they can call it in like what is it, so they can announce it on the floor, because this is BS. And to me, it doesn't matter where it is in the game, whether it's in the first quarter, second quarter. If a team is on a run, that's a game-changing play. Because that team can go on a 21-2 run. You never know. That's a game-changing play. And I've seen things like that happen before. And to be honest, NBA coaches should be allowed to challenge plays as well. They should be allowed to challenge plays. I'm not saying that, we should review every single play on the court, but the NBA coaches should be allowed to challenge at least two play, at most, not at least, at most, 2 plays per game. And they should all only be allowed in the fourth quarter. Or actually, no, that's wrong. Not in the fourth quarter. I take that back because, again, with the runs and things like that, it's game-changing. But anyway, that's my thoughts, man. Coaches should be allowed to challenge plays. They need to utilize technology more and have more coaches in a private room away from the crowd, away from everything, where they're just constantly reviewing plays as they're happening. So if there is a stop on the court and the referees need help, call it in. Bam, that's the call. That's what needs to happen because the refereeing is absolutely ridiculous. It's been Steve. I'm out. Peace.